Hi boys and girls, back for another story today. But first I wanted to show you my drawing from yesterday. Yesterday we read, I'm not just a scribble. So I asked you guys to draw your scribble and then choose where you wanted your scribble to be. Is it at the beach? Is your scribble out in space? Is your scribble in the middle of the ocean? Where was your scribble? And I got a couple pictures back. I hope I keep getting more. I wanted to show you my scribble. I drew my scribble at one of my favorite places, at school. I miss being at school so much, so I drew my scribble right at Tanum Valley Elementary. All right, today's story is called Ricky, the Rock That Couldn't Roll, and I can't wait to read this one today. Over the lake and out past the bay was a green grassy hill where the rocks came to play. They would race to the top to take in the view, then roll their way down the way rocks love to do. There were Kip, Pip, and Chester, and Marvin the Boulder. Ignatius played too, though he was much older. And a group called the Pebbles never ever sat still, zigzagging their way up and over the hill. Kai was a meteorite and not from this planet, and Maya was lava, but taken for granite. Stu was the smart one, Parker the clown, and grumpy old Ebert rolled round with a frown. Gabby was sassy, Lisi had flair, Emma was giggly, and Hud had black hair. Here's some of them are talking. Parker says, "How do you make a tissue dance?" And Ebert says, "Seriously?" And Lisi over here says, "You put a little boogie in it." Get it? But the one trait that seemed to be shared by them all was that every rock there was shaped like a ball. And because they were round, they could easily roll through the grass, past the lake, up and over the knoll. Except for poor Ricky, who quietly sat. You see, Rick couldn't roll because one side was flat. "What part of this is supposed to be fun?" says this rock rolling down the hill. His friends didn't get it. "Come roll," they would chant. So Ricky tried, but replied, "I'm sorry, I can't." But the rocks were determined. They were sure they could solve Ricky's flat-sided problem and help him revolve. So Marvin the Boulder, with his impressive physique, carried Rick all the way to their hill's grassy peak. Then he pushed him downhill, yelling, "Keep rolling, kid!" But Rick didn't roll. He just kind of slid. "This feels like a bad idea," he says. Well, the rocks weren't done, and not by a mile. Surely this next try would get Rick to smile. They stuck rubber balls all over Rick, using big gobs of glue to get them to stick. They were proud of themselves. "This will work," they announced. But Ricky still couldn't roll. Now he just sort of bounced. "No good, no good, no good," he says. Well, they pushed and they pulled, trying every which way to get Rick to roll. But by the end of the day, nothing had worked, just like Rick expected, and he ended up feeling depressed and dejected. "It's no use," Ricky sighed. "There just isn't a way, so I'll sit off to the side and watch you all play." But his friends wouldn't quit. "We're here for you, brother, and we'll get you to roll one way or another." So they pondered and thought each straining their brain till they looked up and saw it was starting to rain. And that's when it hit the smart stone named Stu. "Eureka!" he shouted. "I know just what to do." He explained to them how they would get Rick to tumble. "My plan is pure genius." Stu wasn't so humble. So they carried our hero down the road about a mile to the lake where they gathered up mud they could pile on the flat side of Rick, creating a mound that they shaped, smoothed, and sculpted until it was round. Then after the rain, when the sun in the sky, they left him to bake till the mud was all dry. They gathered up vines and one colorful feather that they wrapped all around Rick to keep it together. So they made some mud and packed it on and let it dry, and they wrapped him up in vines to keep it attached to him, and then they added a pretty feather. Do you think it'll work? When the last knot was tied and the work was all done, the only step left was for Rick to have fun. They stood back and watched, feeling nervous and tense as Rick breathed in deep with increasing suspense. He moved slowly at first, testing out his new mold, and then, for the first time, Ricky the Rock rolled! Does he look like he's having fun now? So Bria the ladybug, who'd been there from the start, felt a surge of pure joy swell up in her heart. She thought, as she watched her friends play on the hill, that there's always a way if there's also a will. And she said to herself as Ricky rolled down the slope, "When you're surrounded by love, you always have hope." The end. That just shows you can't ever give up. Even if you don't think you can do things, sometimes you just have to try it another way. And maybe that won't work. Then you have to try it another way, or another way, or another way. And sometimes you even have to ask your friends or your family for help. Sometimes you can't do it by yourself, even if you try it 10 different ways. So if you get stuck on something today or later this week, maybe it's schoolwork, maybe it's something you're trying to learn how to do at home, I want you to just try it a different way or ask for help, because that's what our friends and our family are there for. They're there to help us, and they care about us, and they just want you to be able to do things. So ask for help, try it a different way, and have an awesome, awesome, awesome day today. I'll see you guys tomorrow for a story. Bye!